Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Believe You Are a Good Mom podcast. I'm Emily Wardrop from Drop the Word Life Coaching, where we help moms of young kids drop power struggle wars to create more peace in their parenting. Do you want to be a good mom? I will tell you the one simple secret of how to be a good mom. You already are. Don't believe me? You've come to the right place. I'm glad you're here. I've got you. Because when you truly believe you are a good mom, everything will change for you as you live into the truth of who you've always been. Let's get started. Okay, friends. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to the Believe You Are a Good Mom podcast. I feel like it's been a while since I've recorded a solo episode, but I crack myself up because I always feel like that. And then I go and check and I'm like, oh yeah, it was 2 days ago. So I'm like, it's okay. It did not. Anyway. All right. So we're going to delve in a little bit more to patience today. I just recorded an episode recently called Patience, Not Perfection. I have so much to say about patience. It could be the name of the podcast, for goodness sake. So today we're going to talk about God's unlimited patience. Okay. So he is perfect, right? So he has perfect patience for us. He has perfect unconditional love for us, which means he has perfect patience for us also. And I'm pretty sure that's what we expect of ourselves, to be perfectly patient. And that's a joke, right? There's absolutely no way that we can be perfectly patient, even, for a day, for an hour, even, depending on where we're at. It's 100% fine. We're humans. We're not expected to stay in one emotion all the time. So if we're looking at patience in the feeling line of the model, you don't feel one thing all day long. So why do we expect to stay in a state of patience all the time? Okay. So a state of being is kind of like we live in that emotion all day long, which of course is not possible. We have a full range of emotions, but some emotions, our brains are, made a super highway of that thought, and we go to that emotion very frequently. And so we can rewire our brain. We can heal our traumas in our brain and change the neural pathway that we frequent to give us a feeling more often. Okay. So if we do want to be a more patient mom, it for sure will not make you a good mom. You are a good mom already. And if we're working on the alignment battery, then if you want to get more aligned with who you really are, and you know that you are a patient mom, but you're just not showing up that way, then of course, the first two batteries have to come first. So let me just review my AAA batteries real quick. If this is the first podcast you've listened to, awareness. Okay. So the first AAA is awareness. Then you have to have acceptance of what you're aware of. And then you can live into the alignment of who you truly are. And that is where we're changing behaviors. But the awareness is where we start. Acceptance that you are a human. You're not going to live up to who you truly are all the time. Okay. So you are a good mom. And if that means that a good mom does this and this and this, and you're not doing it, it doesn't matter what you're currently doing. Okay. We're going to get awareness of where you're at right now, but you have to have acceptance of where you're at right now before you can change. Okay. Before you can live into alignment of who you really are. Okay. So we're using patience as the example today to fit into our AAA battery framework. Okay. Hold on, I gotta hit pause. My diabetic daughter's eating without being diagnosed. Just a second. Okay, so we get awareness of where we're at right now. We also get awareness of who we really are. So I just simplify it by saying you are a good mom. If you want to delve in more to what that actually means for you, because we're all so individual, we all are different. Maybe you are a patient mom, right? And so one of the tricks to find out who you are is to learn more about God, because God made us and he made us in his image. We have heavenly parents that were made in their image. And as we learn about the characteristics of God and the characteristics of Jesus Christ, then we learn more about the characteristics of our true selves also. So today we're going to talk about how patient God is. And if God is patient with us, then we are patient. And we don't show up patiently with our kids all the time because we're mortals. Okay, we're humans. We're not God. And so, but we do have his characteristics that we can tap into and live in alignment with. Okay. So today we're going to use the AAA battery framework to show you how to develop your Christ-like attributes, your godliness, your true self, right? So today it's patience. Okay. So we want to be patient with our kids. That's one of the top things that I hear parents say, right? That they think a good mom is patient. Okay. There's a bunch of things, but that's like one of the number ones. Okay. So, in order to feel patient more often, we have to think patient thoughts. And, like, for instance, you're recording a podcast and you can hear the pantry open and your diabetic daughter is trying to get food that she's not dosed for. Okay. I can feel irritated by thinking things like she shouldn't be doing that. I just told her, like, I'm just going to be in there, record a podcast real quick. I'll be right out and we'll have dinner or we'll have lunch when I'm done. Don't eat anything while I'm in there. Like, I just told her. That thought makes me feel irritated. But there's other thoughts available. It doesn't have to be that thought, right? And so that's what thought work is, right? Where we're getting awareness of the thoughts that we're having. We're choosing different thoughts that can help us feel differently. Feeling work is if I had felt irritated when I was thinking those things when she was opening the pantry, then I just process that feeling in the moment, because in the heat of the moment, you can't do thought work. You just do feeling work. Okay. So I just feel irritated for a minute. Feelings only take 90 seconds. You just let it through your body. You thought the thought, you felt the thing, no big deal. Okay. Acceptance. We have awareness that we're thinking and feeling that. Acceptance helps it move through where you're not in resistance to it. And then you start spinning and layering things on and causing more problems. So acceptance battery, right? And then alignment. Okay, so I feel irritated, but I know that I am patient. So I am going to think this instead and then show up this way going forward. See? So you don't have to act on that irritation. You can process the irritation and then intentionally think something different that's going to give you a more productive fuel feeling to drive a patient action, right? Does that make sense? If you're totally lost, I'm sure I explained the model somewhere in one of the previous episodes. In fact, what's a peaceful parenting life coach? I think is the one from the very beginning where I go over the model. So I just kind of spew out model lingo as if you know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, in fact, tomorrow in our T1D Mom support group call, I think that's what I am going to be teaching tomorrow as an overview of the model. So if you're one of my mamas of a diabetic kid and you have not signed up yet for our support group call tomorrow, go to dropthewar.com/T1D. You can get the replays, you can get the Zoom link to join us. All the things are there. All my content for other moms that have kids with type 1 diabetes that are eating food out of the pantry without being dosed, right? Need some insulin for that sugar, girl. Okay, so where are we? Okay, God is infinitely patient with us. The reason why that is so important is because we are not patient with ourselves. We're not patient with our kids. And we just went through an example of how to use a framework to develop that attribute. But another like meta skill that's going to help us in those small examples is to think about how patient God is with us. Okay. Because he is our ultimate example of good parenting, right? So we have all sorts of parenting books that are going to teach us, what man or woman, humankind has come up with to date of what we think is the best way to raise these kids. But God has given us his perfect example. And so as we tap into his example of godliness, his perfect parenting, that's a joke. Nobody's preaching that they teach perfect parenting. Because we're never going to be perfect in this life, but we can improve. We can live into who we truly are, which is good and godly. Okay. So we're going to use his example. He is infinitely patient with us. Can you even just imagine? Just think about how patient he has to be watching all of us down here in our imperfect state, making mistakes over and over and over and over again. And he says that it's okay. Just repent and I will forgive you 7 times 70, like infinite amounts of forgiveness from him, because he is perfectly patient. So we're going to talk about why it is that he can be that way, because then it's easier to emulate. Okay, so it's easy for him, I'm assuming, to be patient because he knows the long game. Okay. He has the eternal perspective. So for us as parents, we freak out when our kids do anything that's less than ideal because we catastrophize. Our brain instantly goes to the future and pictures our kid all grown up and living under a bridge, homeless and addicted to drugs, and the worst case scenario we could possibly imagine. Our brain is wired to go to worst case scenario to keep us safe, right? And then there's mama bear brain on top of that, where we really want to keep our kids safe. And so, of course, right? My favorite brain hack. Of course, we're thinking that. Of course, we're doing that. It's totally fine. And what do we want to do intentionally? Because, of course, our default brain is doing that, but we can elevate on purpose our human brain and try to tap into our celestial brain, right? So, how does God think about it? He doesn't freak out when we make bad decisions because he knows the long game. He knows it's a long game and he knows the end from the beginning, and he's omniscient, right? And omnipresent, and he's the master at time bending, right? All things are present unto him. So he's not freaking out about the future because the future is present to him and he knows that it all works out in the end. So when we trust that it's all going to work out in the end and we just have faith that he is going to make it all okay in the end. Okay. Then we have a little bit less of a freak out when our kids make stupid choices, right? Or when we do, to be patient with ourselves and be patient with them and be patient with the process of the learning and growth that is the whole entire point of this life, right? So he has perfect patience for the process. He set it all up. He knows what's going on here. We, on the other hand, do not. So we have to have faith that that is true, and faith in him and faith in his eternal perspective. And then we get a little bit more patience. Do you feel a little bit more patient with your kids when you know that all because they hit their sister, that doesn't mean that they're going to be, a sociopath, whatever, violent, crazy person that's going to, do the unimaginable, right? We don't even want to go there because it's so scary, but our brains go there, and that's why we freak out. So we can intentionally remind our brains that that's not going to happen. and that we can create whatever we want in our future. And when we play that model out, actually living from that fear and freak out and the way we handle it is probably what's going to cause that catastrophe. But on the other hand, if we can calm down, help them calm down, know that, this is not a problem. Nothing's gone wrong here. She's not a disaster. You're not a disaster. We're all just a work in progress. Whatever the thoughts are that you need to redirect to remind yourself that it's all going to work out in the end. Okay. Then you can approach the situation with that patience, and the way you show up and the results of all of that is going to be in the direction you want it to head, instead of the one that your brain is catastrophizing and then we freak out and actually cause. Okay. So when we slow it down and we have perfect or specific examples that we can plug in coaching, I can show you how that works out. But in general, that's the idea. Okay. And God has perfect patience for the process. He knows that this is all part of our human experience. That's why he sent us here. It's all part of the plan. Okay. So it is okay to be where I am. It's okay. You don't have to compare to someone else who's somewhere else and think that you should be there. You don't. You shouldn't be there. You should be right where you are. You are on your own journey and you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And God's got you. Same with your kids. Your kids are on their own journey. He's got them. He's got infinite patience because he knows it's the long game and he can see the end from the beginning. He knows the end of the long game. And so he's not freaked out. He's fine. And we can tap into that too. We don't have to freak out when our kids are making whatever decision, which reminds me of the Courageous Discipleship Summit that I just did with the Latter-day Life coaches. And that summit is still available for purchase. It's only $50 and you get access to just a bajillion amazing coaches. My colleagues and friends, they're all incredible. And they have some awesome content on there. A bunch of them I've asked to come to be on my podcast, so you'll learn from them on here also. Oh, so good. And so I'll have that link in the show notes that you can tap into that summit. What hasn't come out yet, comes out tomorrow, is the Latter-day Life Coaches podcast featuring Emily Wardrop from Drop the War Life Coaching of the Believe You Are a Good Mom podcast. So, so that'll be a fun episode tomorrow where I'm going to talk about these AAA batteries in more detail. So if that quick little overview at the beginning was like intriguing, but you want to learn more, look up Latter-day Life Coaches, subscribe to that podcast. Is so fun too, because same thing, these coach colleagues of mine, they're all amazing, and I love learning from them every single week on that podcast. So there's those plugs. What else? Where did I get off on that? Oh yeah, because we're talking about being worried about our kids, right? So if they're making decisions that we don't approve of, like what can we do? That's what that whole summit is about. That Courageous Discipleship Summit is all about people that we love doing things that we don't love, and how do we stay in love, basically. So many good presentations about that if that's of interest. And I just want to say that the whole way any of that works is because God is perfectly patient, and it's okay to be where you are. It's okay for your kids to be where they are. And I promise you, acceptance of where you are is not going to make you worse. It's going to make it better. It is. I promise. And if you don't believe me, get on a call with me and we will map it out in the model, and I will show you how what you're producing in your result line is causing the exact thing that you're worried about. Versus if we can just relax, trust the process, what those feelings are going to drive your actions, and your results is going to lead you in the direction you want to be going. I promise. And I know because that's how God works. And that's what Jesus would tell us to do. So when all else fails, what would Jesus do? Right? So my daughter kicks her sister on the way home from church yesterday. My husband blows up about it. I blow up at him about him blowing up. It's all a big, huge blow up. And then we have to, hours later, put our brains back on. And how do we want to parent? Well, certainly not in the blow up state, right? And how does God do it? What does Jesus say to do? The 2 great commandments. That 2 great commandments is the best parenting advice I've ever found, ever. So everybody else is giving us all sorts of advice, but all you have to do is love God and love your child. And then from love, what do you want to do? Okay? Because that is who you are. You are a good mom. You are love. You are patience. And how would a loving, patient, kind mom approach this? And that is what your child needs, because hurt people hurt people. She kicked her sister because she's a human, okay? And she's been hurt and she's hurting and we're all hurting. And then we react the way we react because we're hurt humans. But guess who heals? Jesus Christ. So he heals our wounds. We're all wounded, but wounded people wound people, and healed people heal people. Hurt people, and healed people heal people. So as we experience the healing balm of Jesus Christ and get back into love, then we can heal those around us also with that same exact formula. And it really is just that simple. Like everybody's making it super complicated. You think you have to read all the books and tap in all the Instagram influencers and all the blogs and all the everything. No, all the programs. You don't need any more programs. Jesus gave it to us. Love God, love your neighbor. God is infinitely patient with us. We just have to tap into his love and patience in order to be love and patient ourselves. And especially love and patience with ourselves. The self-compassion, the self-patience, the self-love. It's not a problem. Where you're at is where you're at, and it is okay. And I promise when you fill up that acceptance battery, then you can slip into alignment so easy. But it's so hard to white knuckle the actions when you're beating yourself up about where you're at. So please just try it. I know it's the same thing I talk about on every episode, but you just have to give it a try to believe it. So try the self-compassion, the self-love, the self-patience in order to develop more patience for your kids. And God is the perfect example of that. So let's see. Did I cover everything? The long game, time bending, all those things. So good. That's how he can be perfectly patient, because he's omniscient. He's omnipresent. And when we can just even just have the faith to believe that, then we can tap into some of that for ourselves and for our own families. So that is my invitation to you today. Be sure, if you are one of my T1D mamas, to join us tomorrow morning, every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time. We do a support group call for moms that have kids with type 1 diabetes. And you don't even have to participate. You don't have to have anything in mind that you need coach on or anything like that. You just show up and I take care of you, because you got to take care of yourself, mama, in order to take care of these kids. And it is a lot. And I know about the allotness. Okay. So, anything else? Go to dropthewar.com for all the things, all the places. I would love to give you what you need here on this podcast. So if there's something you're struggling with, let me know. I can address it on the podcast, or we can work it out, just you and me, on a free Zoom call. Still rolling with the relationship boost calls. So if you have a relationship, if this is like really resonating with one of your kids or something that you're particularly losing your patience with all the time, that would be a really great thing to do on a relationship boost call. So we just jump on Zoom for like 20 minutes. You get off the call and you feel and think and everything about that child completely different. It's revolutionary. It's amazing. So dropthewar.com for all the things. And I will talk to you later. Thanks. Bye. Hi, thanks so much for listening. Have you signed up for your RBC yet? What is an RBC? Well, it's a relationship boost call, and I am gifting 365 of these for free this year. So go to dropthewar.com/appointments to find a time that works for both of us. We'll hop on Zoom for a quick 15 to 20 minutes, and all you got to do is have somebody in mind that you want to improve your relationship with. It's fun, it's easy, it's a good time. You're going to feel amazing afterwards. And no strings attached. Just come on, have a great free coaching call, and then go on your way. And you can come back for as many as you need, because we know it's no one and done around here with relationships. So go to dropthewar.com/appointments to find a time that works for both of us. And let's get boosting those relationships. See you there. Bye.